All right, so you're gonna have, like I said, you're gonna have your nav log. This is what comes out of 1-800 weather brief. You're gonna
Okay.
have your 1801, which is your flight plan that you would file, and then you're gonna have your data card. And obviously, data cards are all different from one another. So first thing I did for all these was figure out your route that you're gonna take. So using your iPad and using the what's the flight GP, the Flip GP app called? I can't even remember what it's called.
Oh, the Arrow app.
Arrow app. Yeah, so the Arrow app, you have a moving map, right?
Yep.
So I would go in and I look, okay, we're going from
So like my first flight is to San Angelo, IFR to San Angelo with an alternate of K map. So I actually already went to the moving map and have that
and
plotted on the moving map.
okay, so let me pull up that one then. 2202 flight. So yeah, you're going from taking off at Randolph. You're going to go to the San Antonio VOR, then LeJohn Junction, and then Jet D. Does that sound accurate?
I haven't done that far. I haven't gone that far, like anywhere near
that. Okay, that's fine. So the cool thing about 1-800 Weather Brief is when you go in, so I'm already logged in. You go to flight planning and briefing. Up here, favorite flight plans. Scroll down so you hit 558th, and here are all the flight plans, right? So
You said logged in. Do we have to have an account?
So they're on it's a preset account. It's in the in-flight guide. I think if you go to the navigation tab, like one of the next pages has it. It's in the top section of the nav section.
Okay.
In the in-flight guide, and that's just a pre-canned like user account password.
Okay.
So then, once you're logged in, like I said, you go to flight planning and briefing. It'll pull up this page. Like this is the username, this HQ ATC. Pull up favorite flight plan, and we'll say we're going from Randolph to SJT.
Yep, that's the first one.
So you're gonna leave IFR, Texan 20, Texan 2. I don't think I ever changed any of these speeds that were in here. Like, let me pull up my 1801. 22. Yeah, so I left the cruising speed at 268, flight level at 200. So this can stay the same. This can stay the same. Randolph's our departure. Departure date will be for you the 20. When are you doing this, tomorrow or Tuesday?
We got our last EP sim tomorrow, and then this will be on Tuesday.
So you'll put in Tuesday this is a night flight, right? Yeah. Pretty sure it's a night flight. I think all of them are night flights. So you go 2300 UTC. So now this is the only thing that I would mess with when it came to how our Mr. Bogle taught it for us. So San Antonio, your route of flight is to the SAT VOR, to J2, to Junction, to SJT, with your destination being KSJT and your alternate being KMF.
Okay.
But I would have it set so for all IFR planning, your destination is to your initial fix, right? Does that sound accurate? Like when you're planning it?
Severson, does that sound right?
Well, so I would always plan mine to the initial approach fix that I was flying my first approach to.
Okay. Yep.
So we're going SAT Lejean, Junction, Jet D. So I would go in and instead of SJT, I did Jet D because that's the fix that I'm going to. And
Okay.
then for my destination, or no, I think I would still do, no, okay. So then for my destination, I just did KMath. The reason I did that is because when you print out the flight, the nav log, like this thing, it ends up coming out a little bit cleaner.
Okay.
So if you were to put in KSJT, I could show you KSJT and KMath. Time and route, fuel on board doesn't apply, training only, do not file. So all this stuff, we're good to go. So you're not going to hit file. Do not hit file, because then if you hit file, then I'm actually going to make this for like the 20th so it doesn't fucking mess it up. But you're going to hit nav log, right?
Okay.
Oh, I have to actually go in here. Hit nav log. And now you're going to generate the PDF.
Okay.
And so this, I don't know why what did I do?
Oh, that calculates all your magnetic headings, wind, shit.
Yeah. So this just gives you pretty much everything.
I thought we had to go through and calculate all that shit.
Nope. So I don't know why KMath didn't pop up as an alter in here, but it's irregardless because we're just going to do it like this. Oops. So I always put my alternate as a destination. So when I do navlog, generate PDF. So now you have the whole card printed out. San Antonio to Lejean, Lejean to Junction, Junction to Jet D. That's where you're going to start your initial approach fix.
So you just put that KMAP as the last step because that's your alternate and your
right. So when you do your calculations, it's super easy to run.
Right, and so your flight technically is ending at that fix because you're starting then the instrument approach plate.
Yep. And when I go, I'll show you the calculations I did on one of mine. From Jet D to landing, you're going to calculate your fuel and stuff down here in the departure section.
Okay.
So let me pull up.
Now, is the 1-800 weather brief? Is that an app on our ETD, or do we just access it via the browser?
I think I never did it on ETD. I always did it on my laptop because I did everything off Adobe. Like I did all my flight planning through like Adobe and edit it this way. So this is a different. I did this flight log. I hand jammed it. I printed it out and then did all the hand jamming. So I don't have any of the actual fuels and stuff on here. So I'll show you this one, how I ran through it. So we have, actually, let me give you one that has all of the 2203. All right, so I don't have the writing written out, but it's fine. So you're going to go in and you're going to fill out. So this is from San Angelo to, I think, Lubbock or Abilene, whatever. Lubbock's your alternate for this one. Fill in all of your ATIS, your ASOS, whatever the airfield has, Unicom, and all this stuff is just off the approach plate. So this whole section up top left, that's filling out frequencies from the tower and whatnot. This section, you are going to get your indicated and your true airspeeds and your fuel per hour. You can get this off of, it's one of the pages in the in-flight guide. I think it's the long range cruise page.
Okay.
If you want to try and pull that up and just cross-reference it.
So it's the in-flight guide. Would it be under miscellaneous, nav planning, fuel time and planning, navigation planning checklist.
Should be like a long range cruise tab. And if it's not in there, it's definitely in your, actually it's in your unit developed checklist. The
Okay.
like performance and characteristics, I believe.
Performance data.
Yeah, performance data.
Power available max cruise, long range cruise, max endurance cruise.
Yeah, that tab.
I'm in long range cruise right now.
So do you have like a bunch of tables with different altitudes and whatnot?
Altitudes, temperatures indicated, tasks, fuel flow.
Yeah, so based off of whatever flight level you're flying at, and whatever speed, I think, then it gives you, it'll give you a bunch of preset tab data for this section.
Okay.
So this leg we're flying at 258 knots true, and I just grabbed this off of the 1801. Like, oh, this was preset at 258. That's what I'm doing it at. I don't know. I never got pinged for like, hey, you're not flying at the right. Or flight. I think the flight level was off the weather. I think you get all the flight level data off of the 175, which that would be the 175. The weather is in, it's in that morning brief for each of those flights. So if you want to pull up the morning brief for like 2203.
Stand by.
I think it might give you the cruising speed and the flight. I know it gives you the flight level for sure.
Let's see. Good reader. Morning brief. Let's see. What, 2203?
Yeah, 2203.
Oh, it's got, yeah, flight weather briefing.
It should give you like whatever the cruising, the weather level that they give you at. That's what flight level I always chose to fly at. Or that's the flight level you flew at.
Dude, I don't even know where to look for that though. Dude, I was amazed at how little they like taught us in navigation. Then they gave us all the answers for the test, and then they just throw us into it.
Yeah. Well, can you share your screen real quick?
Yeah.
Let me stop share.
Oh, only the host can share in this meeting.
Oh my gosh.
It's probably just a setting you can change. Hey, Josh, do you want to get our NDCs?
Yeah. I don't know how to do that. Maybe security. Oh, I'll put it. There we go. All right, now you can share.
Let's see. Share content, screen, share broadcast. So, all right, here's the morning brief. Here's the flight weather briefing.
Okay, so in block 14, the flight level, winds, temperature.
Yep.
So that's 120. All of these altitudes that they give you, the weather, that's what you're going to be flying at.
Okay.
And then, so if you want to go to the performance tab that we were just talking about.
Right here.
Yep. So you could interpolate it from the 10,000 to 15,000 section
Right.
at minus 15 degrees Celsius. You're around 210 indicated, 242 through, and then fuel flow is 453. So what did I do for mine? So yeah, I did 211, 258, 211 knots indicated, and then 258 true. Can't remember if I got those off of this or where I got them from. Now that I'm thinking about it, it might even be wrong. But just know that you get your indicated and true off of what flight level and what temperature you're flying in. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yep.
Cool. Actually, now I'll go back to sharing my screen. Yeah. Take my work with a grain of salt. It wasn't always completely accurate, but if you know how to get the information, then you'll be fine. So based off of your flight level, temperature, you know that to grab your fuel flow indicated true based off of that, right? That
Right.
makes sense? Cool. So now you go in and start calculating times and fuel requirements. So
Are you sharing now?
yes, can you see mine?
No.
Shit.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Okay. So are you cool with the top left getting all the frequencies, and then the top right getting all the speeds and fuel flow based off altitudes and temperature?
I think so. So where are those all the radio frequencies? Is that your arrival air or departure?
Departure, yeah. So your top left is your departure, and then your bottom left is your arrival.
Okay.
So, and those just come straight off of the approach plates that are in the approach plate file.
Okay.
Cool. So now we'll go into calculating fuels and time. So your first tab in here is going to be for start taxi takeoff. You're always going to do 1 minute and 50 pounds.
Yep.
Because you start, or no, is it?
Yeah, 1 minute 50 pounds is right.
1 minute 50 pounds. Cool, dude. I'm sorry if I say something that doesn't seem right. I brain dump.
No, you're good.
So you 1100 minus 50, 1050. Are from SJT, the airfield, to the SJT VOR. 1 minute, we add, now we're at 2 minutes. And it's going to take 7.7 pounds of fuel. We round up to the nearest 5. So 1050 minus 10, 1040. Next slide.
And where are you getting these numbers and calculations? I know the first one, that's just standard 1 minute and 50, but where are you getting all these numbers on the right from?
So all of the red numbers are things that I like. That's all of my addition of time. So I did 1 minute for start taxi takeoff plus 1 minute of transit time from the airfield to the VOR. So this leg is technically 1 minute, but that's what you're accounting for. So after start taxi and takeoff and your first leg, your total time now is 2 minutes. And
Okay,
then
how'd you get the 1 minute to get to the VOR?
that'll just auto populate from 1-800 weather brief.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like where is it? So like this is a blank one without my information filled in.
Okay.
So from Randolph to the SAT VOR, it's 1-800 weather brief accounts for a 4-minute travel time. And then 35 pounds of fuel would be used.
Okay.
And then so on. So from San Antonio to Lejeune, it should be a 12-minute leg. From Lejeune to Junction, it should be an 11-minute leg, and so on.
Okay.
So all I'm doing in this column is, okay, this leg is 1 minute. 1 + 1 is 2. From San Antonio or from SJT to Tanker, it's a 4-minute leg, 6 minutes.
And then you're just calculating based off of the fuel flow that you got from the chart, and then you're just subtracting, rounding up and subtracting, and seeing where your fuel is at each of those
No,
legs.
so you're not going to use your fuel flow until the end.
Okay.
I'll get into that in a little bit. You're using the fuel flow, this leg fuel total. You're going to use the fuel that that 1-800-Weather Brief calculates.
Okay.
Down this tab. So from SJT or from San Angelo Airfield to the SJT VOR, it's saying that there should be 7.7 pounds used.
Okay.
You're going to round that up to 10. And so you're going to subtract 1050 minus 10 to get 1040. So you should have, once you're at the SJT VOR, you'll have roughly 1,040 pounds left.
Okay.
From the SJT leg, from SJT to the tanker point, you should use 41.9 pounds of fuel, round that up to 45. 1040 minus 995, or 1040 minus 45 is 995. And then you just keep going down the line. From tanker to steep, it's a 7-minute leg time. So 6 plus 7 would be 13. So your total time in flight would have been 13 minutes at this point. And for this leg, you would have used 47.4 pounds. Round that up to 50, 995 minus 50, 945. So you just literally, for the time, you just keep going down this column. You add the red plus the black, gets you a new time.
Copy.
Red plus the black gets you, and so on and so forth. And then for the fuel, you're just subtracting. You're starting at 1100 minus your start taxi takeoff time of 50. And then you're just going down the line. Like, each of these top numbers is how much fuel it's required for that leg. Now this bottom number, this is the total fuel being used, like up until it's like an adding, or it is adding the total fuel being used. However, don't go off just this, because it's not rounding up to the nearest 5 every time.
Okay.
So by adding, rounding up to the 5, it makes the math easier for us because we're pilots.
Yeah.
And it's a safer number than just going off of
Right.
so we're just rounding up to be conservative.
Okay.
So 1050 minus 10, 1040. 1040 minus 45, 995. 995 minus 90, or not, sorry. 1040 minus, this is why I messed up a few of my data cards. 1040 minus 35 is 995. 995 minus 50 is 945. 945 minus 35, 910. You go all the way down until we get to here.
Okay.
So easy for 2203, easy is your initial approach fix. So to get to my initial approach fix is 26 minutes. That's to my destination. Lubbock is my alternate. So if for whatever reason we have to divert from whatever airfield this one's going to Lubbock, it would be 53 minutes. So this one's a shorter flight, but that's why I like to use the alternate, as my destination just because it makes it easier for the math for adding up the time and the fuels.
Okay.
So now you're going to do your P&A, which is your penetration and approach, I think. Does that sound right?
We're doing what?
Penetration and approach. It's like a set. It's 15 minutes and 100 pounds of fuel. Does that?
Yeah, that number sounds relatively familiar.
So you're going to add that to your alternate time because you're basing everything off of going to your alternate and just to be conservative. So you're going to add 15 minutes to 53, which was your time to get to your alternate. And then I don't have it shown here, but you would subtract 675 minus 100, and that would give you a total extra of 575 pounds. And then you're going to do another 20 minutes for your reserve fuel. 20 minutes, 100 pounds would get you to 475. And now this is where you do your fuel flow per hour. So you'll do 475 divided by 489. And then that extra fuel that you have, or no, dude, I don't even remember. No, you did it divided by 300, I think. 475 by 300. Yeah, so, oh, I know. Disregard this fuel flow per hour thing. We'll get to that. I promise. So you get down to this box, you do your P&A, which is 15 minutes and 100 pounds. Can I edit this? Let me edit this so I can actually show you what I'm talking about. I'll put all this in blue. So your P&A, 15 minutes, 100 pounds. So we're going to subtract 675 minus 100. That'll give us 575. Our reserve is 20 minutes and 100 pounds. So 100 or 575 minus 100 would give us 475. Now, based off of, I forget if it's a standard number or whatever the standard is, you're going, that 475, that's the extra fuel that you're going to have for whatever purposes. So you're going to divide 475 divided by 300, and that'll give you 95 minutes of extra fuel. So that's
Okay.
where this 1 hour and 35 comes in for your extra.
Okay.
And your total time in fuel ends up being 3 minutes and 3 seconds, or 3 hours and 3 minutes.
Okay.
I don't know why I put 3 hours and 2 minutes up here, but that's the general. Do you want me to we can go through one. Do you want to just have me type through this San Angelo one that I just did, just to show you what my weird brain is coming up with these numbers?
Like the 202?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me just do that because I feel like it'd be way easier. How do I save this? Save. Where did I just save it to? Fuck. Open. There we go. All right. Edit. All right, so we're going to start here in the ET section. So we're going to do 1, that's not right. So we got 1 minute for start taxi takeoff. And we're going to start with 1,100 pounds. And we're going to subtract 50. So now in this box for this leg, what's our new total time going to be?
1 minute.
No.
Oh, 5 minutes.
5 minutes, right. So we got 5 minutes total time. And then we have, what will our new updated fuel be based off of doing the start taxi takeoff?
1050.
Right? And then we're going to subtract what from this total?
From 1050?
Yep.
Fuel. 35.
Yep. 35. All right. So let me just do a new box. This leg from San Antonio to Lejeune is 12 minutes. What's our new total time going to be?
17.
Yep. 17. And then 1050 minus 35 is 1015. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yep.
So now what are we going to subtract in our fuel? What's the fuel consumption for this leg?
Let's see, 90, 100?
Yep. Right, because 96 is the fuel leg. 130.6 is what the system is calculating. And like I said, it'll be close enough to the point where if you went off that, you're probably not going to be crazy far off with your calculation. But we're rounding up to the nearest 5 and the system's not. So you're just going to make sure that that's
Okay.
right. So now what's our new total time going to be for Lejeune to Junction?
28.
Bingo. 28. And then 1015 minus 100 is 915. What's this fuel leg going to be?
Subtract 70.
70.
So it'd be 55 of 845.
45. And what is this leg? What do we subtract from here?
95.
Yep. And then we have, what's our newest time going to be? Our total time?
42.
42. So now this should be 42 minutes is what it'll take for us to get from Randolph to our initial approach fix, Jet D. And then our total fuel will now be, why isn't it letting me add text? There we go. So now we're down to, what is that? 850 or 750? Yeah. So now we're calculating the total time and fuel to get to Midland. So that will be, what is that, 64?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
1,
4.
4. And then, well, what's our fuel that we're going to subtract to get to Midland, our alternate?
135.
So, boy, am I hungover. 750 minus 135 is 615. That sounds
Yep.
right. So now we're down to our departure section. I don't know. I don't even know if these sections actually line up with what we're doing, but that's the section it's called. So now we're going to do our P&A. So P&A is 15 minutes. That's just a set number. So 15 minutes for P&A. And we're at 6:15, and we're going to subtract 100. Now we're at 5:15.
So that 15 and 100 is just a set number.
Yeah, it's like start taxi takeoff.
Oh, okay. Is that penetration or what's that number?
I think it's penetration and approach. It should be just like the amount of fuel and time that a standard penetration and approach should take.
Okay.
So now we're at 5:15, and our total time for that will now go to what?
It's hour and 19 minutes.
Yeah. 19 minutes. And now we're going to get into our reserve fuels. So we're going to do 20 minutes for reserves. And this one is also, we're subtracting 100 for that. So 415 minus, or 515 minus 100 will get us to 415.
A little bit, yeah.
Now we are going to do the divide by 300. I can't remember why or where the 300 comes from. I feel like that's just something.
That's your cruise fuel burn based off of your max.
Is that flying 10,000 feet? That's like our typical.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where that comes from. So that makes me feel better that we figured that number out. So now we're going to take 415 divided by 300, which is 83 minutes. So we'll put in 101. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. Let me add up these ones first. So 119 plus 20, that'll give us 139. And then we have, what did we say, 83 minutes of extra fuel. So that would be 01 plus 23. Say extra. And now our fuel is
Where'd the 123 extra come from?
So that's 415 divided by 300.
Okay.
So now, because we took all of the extra fuel we had divided by our max endurance, now we have no fuel left. Like, we are bone dry, but we have an hour and 23 extra. So we'll take this hour 23 plus hour 39, and our total time and fuel that we would have would be 3 hours and 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah.
And that's your nav log. It's kind of confusing at first. It'd be a lot easier if they just had a total, like the Excel file at DOS, but that's it.
Right.
The numbers I would just always make a note of is it should be a 42-minute trip to get to Jet D, 42 minutes. If we had to divert to Midland, it's going to take us an hour and 4 minutes from the initial approach fix to Midland. And then the total time and fuel that we have, with 20 minutes of reserve fuel and our hour and 23 minutes of extra fuel, we have a total time of 3 minutes and 2 seconds in fuel. And that's what I would just note up here.
Okay.
I don't think I ever got asked that question, but they'll take a look at. They would always look at my nav logs and see like what did I do, and no one ever said anything. So.
Okay.
So that's the nav log. So now the fuel flow per hour that we were talking about earlier, you'll use this during your flight to see, okay, where's my fuel? Where's my time? Like, how am I doing compared to what I have written down on my nav log? So that's why I have it broken down in minutes, just because, all right, if I have, for whatever reason, if I am at tanker and I know tanker is supposed to take 13 minutes to get there, I can go, all right, 13 times 8, that's like 104 pounds of fuel. Whatever my fuel is at right now, I'm like, okay, I should have 945 when I get there. Am I ahead of fuel? Am I behind in fuel? Am I behind in time? Am I ahead of time? That's really all I ever did with these fuel calculations.
Okay.
And honestly, half the flights, I even like it, dude. It's so, some of these flights are so fast. Like by the time you get everything like tuned, identify, monitor, some instructors would ask you, are you ahead? Are you behind? I think it's just instructor dependent, or like how high speed you are, if you're keeping up with that stuff. I would at least try and make a note a few times during the flight. Like, I don't think I did for this flight. I think I checked like MIPE and Dewey like every other, just to be like where I am ahead and behind. But some of these points are so close together that it's kind of pointless to check every single one. But that's what that would be the purpose of these, is to figure out, am I ahead on fuel? Am I behind on fuel? Am I too slow? Am I too fast? That kind of thing.
Okay.
Any questions on the nav log?
Nope. No. 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 Not right now. Let's.
No, yeah,
good start.
Yeah. So yeah, I would do this first, and then going into your 1801. Never filled anything up top. This is going to be whatever your call sign is. I was always bat 1-2. Your flight rules for the instrument flights, which are 22, 2, 3, 4, and 5, are going to be I. And then for your VFR flight, which is 2206, I think, it's going to be Z. Just because you're doing IFR and VFR. So just make a mental note of that whenever you get to that flight, that it's going to be Z. Type of flight was always M for military. Number, always left that blank. Type of aircraft, Texan 2, just leave that as is. Wake turbulence category, I think that was always L. Or no, so I think based off of light, moderate, and that, I don't remember if I ever changed any, but I think there might be. No, wake turbulence category, I think you're always going to leave as L, because that's
Are these 1801s already available to us somewhere? I've never even seen them anywhere.
I don't know where one of the guys in our flight got a digital copy of this. I think they have blank copies in the flight room. Maybe
Yeah.
you could have them printed out. I always use digital copy because I'm lazy and I wanted to use as much from the previous flight that I could.
Yeah, for sure.
So I would just, if you can, edit them on Adobe, or if you have to, just delete all these and make a blank copy. So departure aerodrome, that's just wherever you're taking off. Time, it's going to be 2300, I believe, for all of them except for the VFR flight. That's during the day. Cruising speed and the flight level, those again come off of the DD 175 that we just talked about earlier. And then your route. Honestly, I think I got these routes wrong a lot. However, they were close enough, I think, for what I needed. The route, you could probably take the route off of, where's 1-800 weather brief? Did it go away? Oh, I gotta log back in. And there's a server error. Nice. There we go. The route, if you took this from 1-800 weather brief and put it in to the 1801, I think that's a great place to start, and that's what I usually did. But like I said, there's, at least with the ones that I have, I don't know how perfect they were. So just buyer beware on that. 16, that's just wherever you're going. This one's going from SJT to Midland. This total EET, that's your time that you're going to take from here. So 26 minutes. 26 minutes.
What was that? Where, like?
So this total time, hours and minutes, that's your time from departure to arrival. So
oh, okay. To
20
the fix from your
to the
time you
fix.
leave to get to the fix.
Yep. So 26 minutes. That's just from the nav log calculations that we just did, and then put in your alternate KLBB. So this one we're going to Midland, and our alternate was Lubbock.
Okay.
Let's see. A lot of this stuff I never changed except for you want DOF. That's whatever day you're flying. This is wrong. Your FTD, whatever simulator you're in. Real airplanes, I think this would be like your tail number.
Okay.
But for us, it's just the sim. Never changed this. Remarks. Rest overnight. Rest overnight at Midland. Request servicing. There are a few. Let me try and pull up. Maybe this one. For a couple of the airfields, you did need to request prior permission. So in the real world, for this one, where we're going. This one, we're going to Midland. You'd have to actually request, hey, I'm going to need permission before I get there. So just in the Aero app, if you go under like the IFR supplement, it'll have like a blurb on airfield's capabilities. Some of the airfields do require prior permission. So
okay, I remember that.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's, if you look on some of them, they will have like the prior permission number right there. So then let's see. Let me go back to this one. So down here, we're going to tab 9 or section 19. The endurance, your fuels and time, hours and minutes. So you got 3 hours and 3 minutes. get that from this calculated number down here.
So is that 3 hours and 2 minutes up top incorrect? Should that be 3:03?
It should be 3, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's just how much fuel you have on board. Persons on board is always going to be 2. So these, let's see. I literally, every single time I went to my flight, I always forgot to cross these out. So this 500, 8364, cross them out. As well as the type of equipment. We don't have polar, we don't have desert, we don't have maritime, we don't have jungle, global, jackets, light, or flesh. We don't have any of this survival equipment, so you can cross all these out as well.
Okay.
And just putting an X through them would suffice for that. I always forgot to do that. My IP always yelled at me, and every single flight I always forgot to do it. But at the end of it, he's just like, dude, come on. And then down here, you're going to put whoever your instructor's name is. That's the pilot in command. And then I always left this signature of approving authority blank. And that's the 1801.
Okay. So let's see. So we got NDC or 1801, the nav log through weather, and then NDC, and then you can plot that out via moving map. Will you actually do anything with moving map beyond just looking at the route and getting like altitude, crossing out that kind of stuff? Is I don't know, dude. I have no idea.
Yeah, so I would, the one flight, which I think it might be, let me pull up a good nav log to show you. I think it's 2205, nope. Nope, it wasn't 2205, must have been 2204. Maybe it was 2205. So yeah, I would, using the moving map, I would go through and like, this one was a tough one just because there's so many different nav aids that you're going to be tuning and identifying and shooting off of. So I would go in and I'd say, all right, what nav aid and this leg of the route, what nav aid am I going to be flying off of? What am I tuning to? What's my Morse code? A big part of the moving map thing that I would also use is you can kind of get ahead of the game and say, all right, when I am, this might be wrong, but when I'm off of the ABI nav aid, I'm probably going to be talking to Fort Worth, Dublin Alpha. So I would just have these frequencies pre-fragged, ready to go, because then as soon as they transfer me from Dias approach to Fort Worth Dublin, I have one of the frequencies already tuned into the RMU. Besides the nav aids and the frequencies, there isn't a lot. I don't think there's a single mandatory reporting point on any of the nav flights. There's definitely some points where at point X-ray you need to switch over. And I just said X-ray, point X, A, B, Y, whatever. This point you need to switch over from shooting off of the Abilene R09er to the Glen Rose radial 087. So there is some stuff, there are some points that you would need to do that. But there was never any like mandatory reporting points or anything of that nature.
Okay.
I will say on 2203, I believe it is, they like, at least all of our people, everyone in our class got switched over. Like we had our flight, our route ready to go, and then halfway through the flight, they divert you down a different jet route. So they could do that. I used the moving map a little bit too much, I think. I got a little task saturated trying to plan the route mid-flight. but I use the moving map then to try and figure out, okay, where do I need to go from here?
Okay. Okay.
But really, a lot of the moving map stuff that I used, I didn't really even use it during flight. I just used it for um, for planning purposes. Like, what points do I need to hit to put into 1-800 weather brief? Like, what needs to be in here for me to get from Randolph from the San Antonio VFR or VOR to Jet D?
Okay.
So that was the most I ever did with the moving map.
Okay. Sweet. Let's see. Navlog done. MDC kind of show. I guess MDC is just setting up. Kind of is that personal preference, like how you
yeah.
have that?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, a lot of times I didn't even fly. I think it might, technique only, instructor dependent. Some instructors wanted you to fly with your nav log on top. For me, I have a lot of pre-canned stuff on my MDC, like what to say at this point or how to request a certain approach. So for me, I put a lot of my nav log stuff, like when I got to Genie, I should be 31 minutes into my flight, have about 830 pounds of fuel.
Yeah.
So I took a lot of stuff from my nav log and put it on my MDC, so that
Yeah.
way I could still have my MDC on top.
Yeah.
And that was just my technique. It worked for me. But you definitely want to have, if they ask you like, hey, are you ahead of or ahead or behind in fuel, and you don't have your nav log on top, or you don't have any information to show you like, oh, I'm supposed to be at Genie at what time in fuel, then you might get jammed up on something.
Right. Dude, awesome, man. I appreciate it. I guess, is there anything? I mean, I might have more questions.